shots fired.
We can talk about that at the end.
We feel some controversy now.
Yeah, we're going to welcome to Dallas Talk. No.
Those were shots fired.
Facts. Shots fired. With that being said, welcome guys. We're actually doing our second episode of Drunken Public for 2020, and I got my family here.
Okay, it was the second episode.
The second episode. So I don't do podcasts back to back anymore. I do it whenever I want to have a conversation with my friends. Someone I want to talk to. So everybody here I love talking to. So I'm going to start from my right and go all the way around the table. So to the right of me I have Jerry, one half of Modern Brews and Beats.
Yep.
Shout out to Tony who just had his third baby.
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Congratulations.
Tony. Gave him a third.
Oh my God, that's your baby.
So sorry,
Get
second.
the confused.
But congratulations regardless
Yeah.
to you and your beautiful wife. Thank you for being back on the show. We ran into Jerry randomly at the Nations. And I was chugging the beer and I was crying.
When you saw him?
Yeah. No, I chugged the beer because it hurt. Wait, why are we crying? No, well, Jerry.
Jerry!
I saw Jerry, but it was my 7th chug of the day, and I'm like not feeling good. And I'm like, I'll chug a beer. And Jerry's like, you don't have to chug a beer.
Yeah.
But he's Victor, so he's gonna chug the beer.
Jerry came in to knock some sense into you. Did it work?
No.
No, it did work because you did. It would have been an 8th chug.
Yeah, it would have been an 8th chug.
It was.
Yeah. Oh, you know, you're right, it did work. Because I chugged half the beer, then I chugged the second half later on. So yeah, he did save me from that 8th chug.
8?
Yeah.
One day?
Yeah.
You wild.
And then my flight right here.
He's sharing that.
No, that's Jerry.
He's sharing that.
Disclaimer, kids,
Well,
don't try this
first
at
time on the
home.
podcast, but long time listener. Look, listen, I have a lot of great things to say about you, John. Okay. This is John from Secondhand, a home brewer, phenomenal. His wife is also phenomenal too. Drink. You could. Why you gotta drink with your wife?
No,
Because every time we said phenomenal.
Oh, god damn it!
Playing the game. Anytime Vic says phenomenal, we're drinking.
Oh, I can't do that. I gotta drive back to Fort Worth.
Never mind.
Jerry, you
I'm gonna
just
try
gotta
not
do
to
this.
say it. I'm gonna try not to say it.
It's all good. That's why I do that work.
Your wife is great as well, and I know she's not here right now, but I just want to give her a quick shout out because she is a great person.
Hey,
and I like her.
Michaela.
She at home making beans and rice for tomorrow.
Oh, fucking A, nice.
Damn.
Thanks for making beans and rice. Awesome. Thanks for being on the podcast. First time here. Thanks for the homebrews you guys make all the time. It's fucking delicious too.
Thank you. It's been a minute though, because Brewing in August was hot, so I took a break. But we're back, new system. Excited to try some new things.
Well,
Jake
if
and
people-
Adriana.
Yeah, you guys did make up.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're going
Not on the
to.
new system. We're
Oh,
going
not
to.
a new system. Well, you did post a picture about the new system.
Yeah, the new system's
on
built.
Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, the last time we brewed together was the matcha. The blonde
Matcha
Jerry.
for Jerry.
Jerry's matcha was
Yeah.
delicious. That was you?
Yeah, that was us.
Oh shit.
That's the
Hell yeah.
man's right here,
That
dude.
was in our hot garage back in August.
Matcha was fucking phenomenal, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't
There's a lot of
don't.
matcha.
Yeah, it was. But I loved it because it was a great experiment on
Yeah.
tea beer, and I love to have more tea beers.
Did we call it swamp water or something like that?
No, we didn't call that. Well, it was a great representation of the tea beer we had in New Mexico.
What?
The tea beer we had in New Mexico. Remember the Earl Grey tea beer we had in New
Yeah.
Mexico?
Yeah, that was actually
was
on
a similar-
cask. It was an English bitter with Earl Grey.
Yeah, but it was
on
similar
cask.
to
Really
the
good.
amount of tea in it
Yeah,
with
it was
the matcha.
good.
It was
It
really
was
good. That's
good.
why I like the matcha. And it was
I love all cask beers. So
Yeah.
cask beers are delicious.
Cask beers are phenomenal, and you got me onto cask beer, so
Cask beers are shit.
shout out to that. And then long time family of the show, Dina, our lawyer.
Mine.
Not yet. Disclaimer. That's illegal in Texas.
Our lawyer of the show.
Nice.
Thanks for coming back. You know, I'm missing your boyfriend.
I don't have a boyfriend.
The Chino.
You saw the intro.
Oh
you
my
saw
God,
the intro. You saw the
Chinese.
intro.
Chino?
He's Chinese.
He's Chino.
He's not Chinese. He's from Vietnam, and we're not.
That's different, dude.
just
That's way
talking.
different.
It's close enough.
He's not
It's
my
close
boyfriend.
enough. Super. And then left of you, we have Adriana. Phenomenal vegan food. You have an event coming up.
Yeah, I have an event
your mom.
on February 9th coming up. And then we have the Food is Medicine Summit
Oh,
and
that's the one with your
Expo.
mom. Is that
Yeah,
next
in
month?
April
Okay, sorry.
24th through 25th.
Nice. I thought it was coming up. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I mean, it's kind of
It's
It's
coming
coming
up.
up, but I thought it was one next week. Like,
No, next week is something else.
No, next week is something
By
else.
the time
Gotcha.
you edit this, it might be coming up.
It depends if he's drunk or not.
He's right. He's
That's-
right.
he's
He's
right.
right.
I like it.
He's right. But I'm looking forward to that. Listen, I love everything you do.
Thank you, sir.
The dietitian part of it, I agree with you. I respectfully agree with you on stuff like that. Because it's how you feel, and I respect it. And you also make great food too. First and foremost, you
He
make
has
great
not
food.
tried any of my food. So
I have.
don't know what he's
At
talking
your
about.
house.
I
He's at the
have, and I
chorizo
think that
tacos.
you make great food.
They're the
I
Chinese
love your
chorizo
food.
tacos.
He did eat with us?
Yeah.
He was like, they're good.
He has
I'm
eaten with
again
us.
now.
And then finally,
We
you got,
got- you got Jacob?
you got your main man, your main boy.
I was brought up straight brew, and then we got the owner of Odd Muse. Come on, brother, come here.
Come sit down. Wait,
Everybody, move! So for people watching, we just did a quick transition move for Jacob because that's the one half of Strange Brew. But then we have
I'm
the
the
one
other
half.
half. What?
he did say one half, so that's cool.
What?
Put like an asterisk in there.
One half, and the other half is right next to him. But then we have one. We have the owners of Bobby of Odd Muse. Well, first time here, phenomenal facility. Beers are
man.
delicious. I haven't
Thank
drank
you.
them all yet, but I tried them all.
Okay.
They're really the beers I have here in front of me are delicious.
Awesome.
But besides what I've tried, I heard nothing but great things. Nothing but great
Excellent.
things. Everybody who's been here loves you.
Well,
and
that's
love
good.
the beers.
really
Glad to
good.
hear it.
Yeah.
Is it?
not gonna
It
say
starts
it.
with the PH.
I'm not gonna
No?
say it. I'm not
You
gonna
already
say it.
did. You missed the drink.
Is it phenomenal?
fuck.
Is it
Is it phenomenal?
So-
Oh, we all
so
gonna
just-
drink though.
So if you watch
We
this
all gonna
episode,
drink.
Okay.
if you watch this episode, every time I say phenomenal, you have to drink. When I say phenomenal a lot.
Phenomenal.
But not this time, not this point right now.
But you might want to switch to water because he says it that much.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I only say that to things I like. And I'm also respectful for things I don't like. Most recent example, if you watched the Ingenious episode, they came and brought a bunch of beers.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of beers I like, but there's a beer I didn't like in too. And I'm
Yeah.
always trying to be perspective of what I like and don't like.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't a bad beer. The reason I didn't like it is personal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a bad beer.
awesome.
But what I've tried here, great. I hear great things about you guys. I'm not gonna say the word, so don't have to chug or take a shot. But you know, I hear nothing but great things. So
Thanks, man.
before I ask you to tell me your story,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to give you a compliment. We said off air, your social media presence. You're the first brewery personally that I've seen in all of 2019 who made a push for taking pictures, showing progress, communicating with people on social media. I don't know if that was you directly or somebody
was-
else.
Indirectly, yeah. No, it was that was all my partner. It was yeah, absolutely. It wasn't anything that, so none of us have any experience with social media marketing or anything like this in general, right? And so it was just like, well, what do we got to do? Oh, maybe we should do this. And lucky for us, we have a friend who works at Facebook who gives us some credits. And so we're able to use the credits, like, so we get so many credits every month, and we just like push it out. We're like, well, they're there. Let's use them.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
you're the first brewer I've seen that. I really appreciate that. Not just that, just using social media.
Yeah.
Because brewers use social media, but for a newer brewery like you guys, you show the progress of like, okay, listen, we're breaking ground today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're coming with the logo. We're breaking ground with the
Yeah.
logo. Listen, we just put the kegs in, logo. Like you showed the progress 6-7 months into the progress before you guys even open.
Well, that's just it, right? So a lot of breweries have the benefit of being known or being somewhere else, and so there's a sort of a reputation that precedes them. For us, it was a little different, right?
Facts.
So people didn't really know about us. I mean, I've been brewing in DFW for a while, like home brewing and competing in home brews, but never under the name Odd Muse. And so when we switched the name, we knew that people didn't know who Odd Muse was, and they didn't know who we were or what we were about, and so we had to figure out a way to sort of get our name out because we knew if we're going to open the doors, there's nobody's going to be in here if they don't know about us, and so we kind of, the way that we did it is just kind of sort of to tell our story and just kind of bring people along on our journey, and that was it for us.
So,
Like, it
so
was
what was
important.
y'all's guys' name before? Like, what was y'all's home?
Fountainhead is what I brewed. So I brewed Brew Riot several years, probably like 4 or 5 years, something like that.
R.I.P. Brew, right?
Yeah,
what happened to
RIP
that?
Brew Riot. Tell me about it.
Good days.
Yeah. Oh man, that was one of the greatest homebrew festivals.
That's the Oak Cliff
ever.
one, right?
Yeah, that one in Bishop
okay,
Arts.
cool,
Yep.
cool, cool.
What happened to that one?
The lady who was running it just like,
Said fuck it.
didn't she like sell something?
sure
or
what
she
happened
wasn't
with
like
it.
she
Yeah, I
wasn't
don't
like
know.
legit about
I don't know,
it.
homebrew competitions got really complicated when TABC.
Yeah,
found
there
out
was a
about
lot
it.
of TABC. Originally, like the first couple years, it was like, yeah, just come on. The last couple years, it was all right. Well, you got to be part of this club, and it's like, oh well, all right. So, but now unfortunately it's not around anymore. But But yeah, no, those were great. Those were great years. And yeah, we did a lot. We won a lot of awards. We moved. So when you start Brew Riot, you start in the back corner because they don't know about you. And then as you win awards every year, they move you closer and closer to the front. So by the end, we were in the front, like next to like Manhattan Project and everybody else. And so yeah, we were in the front. But yeah, we didn't. Yeah. After that, it was like they stopped doing it. I was like, oh, it's a shame.
Well, I like the new name and I like the logo. What made
Yeah,
you
no,
change the name
thanks.
to Odd Muse?
So Odd Muse is so for starters, we changed the name one because I didn't like the old name. It had really nothing to do with me. It was the street that I lived on. It wasn't anything important. And there was already a brewery somewhere in California that had the name Fountainhead. So Odd Muse is more special, right? So Odd is my daughter's initials, Olivia and Daniela Diaz, and Muse is because they're my inspiration. And so yeah, so that's yeah. So
great
I mean,
name,
if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be doing this. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
And just once again, just it speaks to the importance of story.
yeah, absolutely, most
Me and
definitely.
Jerry had a personal conversation about a story, but that is a phenomenal story. So take a drink.
It's phenomenal.
It's a phenomenal story.
Indeed.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, we played
Yeah,
the game with our listeners.
Hey, you're cheering. It's
Oh,
fine.
he did say it, didn't he? Oh my god.
And the whole brewery and the whole concept is more about like my family and my friends than it is about me. I mean, I make the beer, but they make this place happen. So like for example, the logo itself, right? When we had it made, it's the logo itself is a representation of like the important things in my life. So the face is when we told the artist like what we wanted, right? So the face is a representation of my daughters and my wife, and then the hair is made of malt, and then she's got a hop in her hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the beer, and then the ladies in my life.
That's
So
beautiful.
yeah, so that's where the logo came from. And then as far as like the space in general, all the artwork in here is done by friends of ours. I mean, we've known these people for over 20 years. And they're super talented artists, and it's my sort of attempt at getting them to like sort of pursue their dream. Like I did mine, I made the leap, and so here's me trying to help them get their name out and get their art out there, because I mean they're super talented.
Right.
Yeah.
So people should see this.
Create space for
Yeah.
No,
others.
facts.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Yeah. A lot of that wall art is like super fun.
Oh man, I mean he is a phenomenal artist. So the stuff in the hallway, right? There's like these picture frames, right?
For sale and stuff
And
like that.
yeah, the stuff that's for sale, but there's stuff that's not for sale. And the stuff that's not for sale are so basically it's those are going to be our can designs. Those are going to be our can labels, and
I think we all sit next to the same time.
and-
Everyone's like,
he's got this stuff hung in his house, and it's like, man, I was like, I really like that style. And he's like, well, you want me to do it? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So what we did is so the bodies there's one that's me, two that are me, two that are my partner Charles, one that's my wife, and then one is the artist and one is his wife, and then everybody got to pick their heads. And so he made all that. So all of those, if you go back in there and look at them, they're all number 2 pencil, and
Yeah.
each one took him like 8 hours to do, like each one. It's insane. So I don't know how we're gonna keep it up when we start producing more beers. Like, I don't know how that's gonna work. But we'll figure that out.
yeah,
But
but
yeah.
that comes when the time comes. You
Yeah.
figure that shit out.
Worry about that later. It's right now.
But it's all beautiful. It's all
Yeah.
beautiful. Because also part of the thing our company does is social media. You guys put those pictures up too. Like
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. The artwork's up now. And other breweries now that are coming up are using that same format. Like now, I'm not gonna say you're the first to ever do it, but you're the first that I appreciate seeing here locally.
Yeah.
doing it, you know, and then people locally are copying the same style.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, we're progressing. We're moving forward. Here's our pictures up.
Yeah.
We're working with partners, and you're the first brewery on the progress of building, shouting out other people. Like you never kept it circular to yourself.
Oh
You
no,
always tagged
absolutely.
your
It's a
friends in
community,
it.
man. We wouldn't
Yeah.
be here. We wouldn't be here without the help of others, right? So like, I mean, for example, I was volunteering over at Twin Peaks. I don't know if you guys know Cody Bell, the head brewer at Twin Peaks, but
Don't
he,
know.
man, he's a fucking. Can I cuss on this
There you
thing?
go. Yeah.
This is a children's
All right,
podcast.
so-
Ultimate presents.
But
Especially
no,
children.
I mean, he's fucking great. He's one of the nicest people that I've ever fucking met. And so he was courteous enough to like. So when I was getting this place up and running, I went through the American Brewers Guild, and I came back, and I had a full-time job. and I was working in Irving, and he's the head brewer at Twin Peaks, and they make the beer. I mean, people don't realize that they make so much beer. They do like 7,000 barrels a year in beer. Yeah, it's insane.
I didn't know that.
It's
Higher than
crazy.
the brew pubs.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they've got this big 30-barrel system over there. So I went over there one day on my lunch break, and I was like, hey, man, you need some help? He's like, yeah, absolutely I do. I was like, well, I work, so I can come in early. So I go over there, 4 o'clock in the morning, help him out till like 8 or 9 when I had to go to work. And then I'd go across the street and go to work. But he was super nice.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from him. And then there's Matt at Celestial, right? So I reached out.
We talk about Matt so much in this podcast. We need to talk more about this guy.
I've actually never met Matt. I need to meet
Oh
him.
man, yeah, no, so what's funny is the artist, his wife, was working with Matt before at some company up in Allen, I think, before he quit to go work at Malai. And so she was like, there's this guy that works for me. He quit. He went to go make beer at some Thai place or something like that. I was like, oh shit. So I reached out to him, and yeah, man, super nice. Like as he was going through the process of opening up Celestial, he was like, I was asking him stuff, and he would just give me pointers, and it was great.
Well, Matt's
So,
the nicest guy. But if you follow Celestial's Instagram and Facebook feed, they have a story because unfortunately commentating closed. And that was the first date Molly
I
and
saw
Matt
that.
went on together.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So they made a post about it. She said so they didn't know each other personally, so they were Facebooking, messaging each other, and then they're like, let's meet at commentate when that was their first date, and she made that post.
That's
It was
crazy.
really freaking sweet. That
Yeah.
She made that post, but they're great people. I say it all the time. They're great people. I need to get them on the podcast because I had their other brewer, George, on the podcast, and he's fucking phenomenal too.
Yeah, man. It's
Funny.
funny.
Drake.
That was 2 times,
Cheers.
George and Myra.
That's funny because Myra, actually, she's our new bartender. So she works here Wednesdays,
for real?
Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings. So Saturday night she
I'm
works
like,
at
we're here
Celestial.
right now.
Yeah. Saturday night she works at Celestial. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
awesome, yeah.
No, she's great.
Oh,
I
no,
don't say
she's
that
awesome.
word, but yeah, she's great. I like her a lot.
Is she phenomenal though?
I don't know. She is. She really is. She's great. I love their story together. It's just,
absolutely.
To me, it's very romantic because they've been married, George and Matt, and their wives have been married around the same time. They're all around the same age. They all have the same journey.
Yeah.
And it's all mirrors each other. It's just different places and different locations.
Yep.
It just fucking really romanticized connection with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And they say with you, this whole spot is for me is I used to live in Arlington for years. I came from New York City, lived in Arlington for years. Now we're not in Arlington per se, but it's in Bedford, all this area. There was nothing out here, and to have any Latin representation in this area is fucking phenomenal. We don't have a lot of us out here.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So, first of all, thank you for being out here.
No,
Number one.
definitely,
And it
man.
changes
My
the
pleasure.
culture for us here.
It's also closer for us.
I grew up in
Thank
Farmers
you.
Branch.
Did you really?
Yeah, dude, for
Holy shit.
25 years.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, my mom and my brother still live in Farmers Branch.
Oh, damn.
And seeing Three Nations open,
Yeah.
it was cool. That's cool. But seeing you guys open, it's
Yeah.
just man, that's badass.
Yeah.
It sounds disrespectful to Gavin, but the only reason I go to Three Nations is because of Rodrigo.
Fuck, dude.
It was cool.
Rodrigo's fucking.
I like Gavin.
No, Gavin's nice. I like Gavin too. I love Gavin.
Biased, but I'm biased.
No, I'm just gonna be honest though. Listen, the reason why I keep going is Rodrigo. I'm very simple. I go to places I enjoy and people I respect.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean I don't like people I don't go to. I just gotta go by normal places I go. Now, perfect example, Crafting Dollars. It's not Latin old, but I love Robert. Robert's Mexican. We have a lot of things in common. I respect him. I respect him a lot, and he teaches me a lot of things. So I'm gonna always go to Crafting Dollars. Rodrigo, I love him to death. He's not Puerto Rican Dominican like I am, but he's Latino.
Yeah,
and he's from Miami, which I love. I'm from Florida, I should say.
Okay, there you go.
You're Puerto Rican?
I'm Puerto Rican.
Wait, I'm Puerto Rican too.
No, you're not.
A little bit. We're all Puerto Rican.
He's from El Salvador or something.
Hey, okay.
We're all Puerto Rican.
I mean, in our heart, we all Puerto Rican.
Exactly.
We all read rice and beans and pork.
In our hearts, we
Okay.
all, because that's what Columbus found was Puerto Rico first. So in our hearts, we're all Puerto Rican. But I love Rodrigo, and there's people I love throughout my journey. So with all that being said, All that being said, I love your journey. I love
Thanks,
your story.
man. Thank
That's
you.
why I'm always gonna be here to
That's
support
cool
you.
that we actually got to like sit down and talk with you, so we can
Yeah.
learn a lot more.
Yeah, man,
about it.
absolutely.
Like, because
absolutely.
honestly, I didn't know who you guys were when you opened. Like,
Yeah.
I would see you guys on Facebook. I'm like, okay, this is your fucking opening.
And that's something that we realize like we haven't done enough of is sort of tell our story and like get that out there. And more than anything, it's like the story's great. Like I just for whatever I think more than anything, it's because I just kind of shy away from talking about myself. Like I don't really like doing that.
Yeah.
It's
none
more
of us
about
do.
my beer and and my brewery, right? And so but from what what I've started to learn is that people do appreciate that. Like they appreciate the background and they like to hear that.
Stuff,
So.
yeah. I enjoy like hearing that stuff and hearing your story. So that's really cool. That
It just builds community, and not only representation, just like, because there's like a Latin aspect, but also just representation of like middle class creating
Oh,
something,
starting kind of from the bottom.
So-
and just coming
Absolutely,
out.
man. Like it's
If I could make again, just to make a side note, Barrett Tillman. Shout out to Barrett Tillman doing phenomenal
Hey
things.
Barrett.
Dude,
Come
South
back,
America-
Barrett. Please
South
come back to
America.
us.
Yeah.
Please come back to us, Barrett.
Barrett, it's first person who changed my opinion about representation and what is important.
yeah.
I disagreed. I didn't think we need to be everywhere. Like, listen, I'm always gonna be lying. It's who I am.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we need to be in different places. But the conversation we had, and the long conversation we had,
Yeah.
I respect his opinion. He changed my opinion. Like, we need to be everywhere. There's places you wouldn't want to be at. You
Yeah,
want to make
absolutely.
beer? We need to be there. We need
Man,
to be there.
that guy.
And
he's
he
been
was
here.
one of the first people, like, fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, man.
Drink.
Phenomenal.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
No, he came in here a couple times, and yeah, man, that guy is great. If I had to describe, only way I could describe him is meta. That dude is just like, he's super zen, man.
Very zen.
It's very
And humble.
enlightening. Yeah,
It's very poignant. Like, this is what I believe. And
Yeah.
and you could disagree. He's never gonna be mad that you disagree. It's like, okay, let's talk about this. This is where I'm standing, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna break it down to why I'm standing where I'm standing.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are you standing? Oh, you don't know where you're standing? Well, you need to think about that. Why you're standing in that position? Then what the fuck are you
Yeah,
talking about?
absolutely. Nothing but respect for that.
That's
guy.
what that was
Exactly like
me.
that?
That was
Okay.
me. No, in my heart, that was me because he was like, okay, this is where I stand, and here's 10 points of why I stand this way. And why you standing where you stand? Like, oh, you don't have no reasons? Well, think about that shit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right, you're right.
Those are facts. Those are facts.
But I love you guys being here.
Oh man, absolutely. It's my pleasure. It's great.
Thank you for allowing us to like set up back here.
No, man, it's
thank
great.
you.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
Like,
Creating space.
Thank you. Because
thank you
it's
so
awesome.
much. Because people don't know we're in the back where they brew this stuff here, but we're in the front room with everybody else. But they had a band today, and they were just being nice, like, "Hey, we got a band here. You might not get any sound out of this.
Yeah.
They're gonna let us set up. They're like, it might not work for you guys though.
You guys
You should do like an ASMR thing.
It wouldn't work. It would not work. Look how loud he is. He can hear through here.
You know?
But so for people who come to ODD Muse, what is the beer journey they should go through? What they should
So,
try?
I mean, so what we try to do, at least what I tried to do with the beer selection, right, when I was making the beers is, for starters, one, I kind of, and if you know me, I kind of only brew what I like to drink, which may or may not be a good business strategy. We'll
It
find
is a
out.
great strategy.
We'll find out eventually. But I only typically try to only brew what I like to drink, and what I like to drink basically across the spectrum, right? So it depends on the day, it depends on the month, it depends on the time of day, on what I'm drinking. And so I have to have, for me, I had to have something for every point
Breakfast,
of
lunch, and
when,
dinner.
exactly,
Yes.
right? Like it's like weekends
Hot,
are one
cold.
thing, you know, nighttime is another thing. Like they're all different. So
Yeah.
so what you'll find is
Yes.
Facts, a playlist.
Analogies. I
yeah,
like
there you
it.
go. Yeah, so what you'll find is kind of a spectrum, right? So we've got light to dark to hoppy to balanced to hazy, and we're kind of leaning into the hazies, not because it's what's in, because it is what's in, and there's a reason for it because they taste fucking great. Yeah.
Right.
But I love drinking them, and I like making them too, because it's like every time I make one, I change something, and it's different every time, and I'm never satisfied with it when I make it. So there's always something to change.
Do you ever feel like there's like a ton of satisfaction and there's always like more like a curiosity? For me, it's always a curiosity.
Yeah, I
Or, like,
mean,
maybe a mixture of both.
well, sort of, right? So for me, it's like, why aren't I getting the taste that I want?
Right.
Right? And it's like, well, let me try this. And it's like, well, that really didn't do that, but it did this. So I'll do that, but I'm going to try something else now. And it's like switching it up.
Yeah.
So So what we've got on tap right now has gone through sort of an iteration, right? So we had to start with, we had the challenge of never having brewed on this system ever before. And so we brewed, the Muse Juice is the first hazy that we ever brewed on this system. And it's tricky because normally when you brew a hazy and you go to whirlpool, right, that's one of the most important parts. You typically try to whirlpool at a little bit colder temperature, not super cold, but definitely not boiling. But our boil kettle is super insulated, and so by the end of whirlpool, if you just let it go, we're still at like 208, 209, and it's like, so yeah.
Fuck, it's at boiling.
Absolutely, yeah, it's simmering.
This is absolutely great. This is great because you're getting this conversation with brewers.
Yeah.
So yes, please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And so,
Can you explain why you'd want to drop the temperature from like boiling to maybe like 180, 175?
yeah, absolutely, right? So when you, the hotter the temperature, right, when you drop the hops in, right, the whole idea of dropping hops in during the boil is so you can get this isomerization, right? So you get the bitterness out of the hop. So the longer you boil the hop, the more bitterness you get. So if we're if we're throwing hops into the whirlpool at like 208, 209, we're practically boiling them. And if we're running a 20, 30, 40 minute whirlpool, then we're boiling the hops for 20, 30 minutes. I mean, granted, they're simmering, but they're still boiling, so we're getting this bitterness. What we really want is just kind of like the flavor of the hop and the oils to come out, which is what you get but you also don't want the beer to be too cold to where a bacteria could basically ruin your beer. So there's a sweet spot in there that where you want to be at, to where you're not, over like heating the hops and getting the right kind of character out of them. And so that's what I've sort of tried to dial in, and I've made my way to figure out how to do that over the course of the 4 hazies that we've brewed so far. So
I just want to say that, like, from someone who's brewed a lot of bad hazies and drank a lot of bad hazies, when I first came in, I told him, like, bro, this is your first time making this on the system. It was amazing. It was phenomenal. I was like, there was no learning curve.
Don't drink. I didn't say it.
There was like no hot heat, that you get in some other beers. So I was like, wait, this is your first beer? This is your first one on this system?
Yeah.
So like it kind of blew my mind. I was like, whoa, he knows what he's doing. So.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
It's very scientific.
Yeah.
Like making vegan food.
So each one that I make notes and mental notes and physical notes on what I want to do differently next time, and then it turns into a completely different beer. So
I feel like the beer, the flavors, the beer itself is like what it is, but also the name comes in, right? So how do you guys make up the names, or how do you get the names for these beers?
So the first few beers that we named was kind of weird, odd, no pun intended. Because when we came up with the labels first, right? So we had 6 labels, ideas of labels, and our artists went and drew them. We're like, oh great, but we didn't have any names for the beers. So then we tried to sort of backfill the names into the beers. So some of them are backfilled, like so like Mystic Workhorse, for example, right? The label is my wife's body with a seahorse head. And so the name of the beer is Mystic Workhorse. Some of the other ones are less, right? So for example, Opulence, I had that name from way back when, and for me, it's basically it comes from just kind of weird like things in our lives. So mainly movies, TV shows, music, that kind of stuff. So Opulence, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that DirecTV commercial. It was way back in the day, and it was a Russian oligarch. And the commercial starts, and it's this guy sitting on this gold throne, and he just starts like, opulence, I has it. And then he's like petting this like tiny giraffe, and like everything is made of gold. That's where that name comes from, right? So and then like Silver Spaceship is from a Neil Young song, and just kind of stuff like that. Yeah.
For me, it's like so a local brewery nearby here, Legal Job.
Yeah.
I like the guys.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to say they don't make the greatest beers.
Yeah.
Or they didn't make the greatest. They trying to do stuff now.
All right.
But what I respect about Legal Job, thanks to Jerry, we did a show with them last year. And I got a chance to meet the owners. And they had a plan. They had a story, they had a plan, and they executed.
Yeah.
They wanted, and overall, long story short, they made beers that could sell in the mass market, like at stadiums.
Yep.
the goal was so they get rid of their debt. They got rid of their debt. Now they barrel age and stuff and trying new stuff. And they had a story as far as like the plan of knocking that out, and then they made the name of their brewery, and they worked out 1,000 names.
Oh shit.
For beers they haven't even made yet. They worked out 1,000 names. They're like, we planned this out.
Yeah.
They planned it out. They're both lawyers, legal drafting, no debt. Food and beers. They made a massive plan. They followed through it. So I respect them and I like them for that.
Yeah.
Not every brewery does that. Not everybody does that. So part of the conversation we're having here today is naming stuff.
Yeah.
And how it affects people when you name certain things.
Oh man. So like for example, I wish we were that diligent and that we planned that much. We don't do that.
When you have two lawyers running a business.
Oh yeah. So part of the way that I sort of not planned it, but the kind of my thought was for this place is for stuff to just be organic and for it to just happen, right? And so for example, our tap room, we didn't know what it was going to look like. We knew the walls were going to be gray, and the artwork, we're like, you guys can have these walls. We've seen their art before. We loved it. We knew what they could do. We're like, just have them. Do whatever you want. They're like, what do you want us to do? Something? Nah, man. Just figure it out. You do whatever you want. And so it sort of everything is sort of just happening, which is good in some respects, and then it kicks us in the ass and some other times. But yeah, it just happens. So like for example, the new beer that we released on Thursday, Bright Eyes.
Shout out to Bright Eyes.
Thank
which
you.
I just had.
Thank you.
Literally just had it right now.
Yeah. We named that beer on Wednesday. Like that beer did not have a name until Wednesday, and we were sitting around and we had.
Did y'all channel the band Bright Eyes?
No. So I thought it was more of
for people who don't believe me watching. Look at the camera. The second one is called Bright Eyes, bro.
Yeah.
That's the one I just literally just had right
absolutely.
here. Right here. I had it.
No, so it was actually a Killers song, and it's called Mr. Bright Eyes.
Oh yes, I love that.
But anyway, so we were sitting around. We had different names that we had thought about. So we're sitting around drinking the beer on Wednesday, and somebody was like, "It's bright. It's a bright beer." And then somebody else was like, "Bright Eyes," and then we're like, "Oh yeah, that'll work.
That works.
That'll work."
That's a beauty to it, right? It's organic beauty to your style.
Yeah.
I mean, or honest to yourself and original to yourself, right?
And some of the beers, that we have thought out the names ahead of time, right? And some of them we just make and we've never made them before, and it's like, all right, well, what are we gonna name it? And that's to our fault, right? I wish we one of the things that was on our to-do list is name beers the day we brew them, and it's like all right.
Man, you need to bring me in, dude. I'll do it in a beer. It's like beer
If I
separate.
name my beer the day I brew them, then I'll be cursed with it. Who didn't get rough sometimes?
I don't name beers for a reason. That's why we got like.
I'm gonna call this one Pinche Pendejo.
One of your turn
Chinga tu.
Madre.
What?
Put the accent on the E.
Yes, yeah.
No, it happens, but it's just it's a thing. So thanks to John, we had a conversation off air, and then you guys had a conversation with him before about naming things. For me, the most egregious example that I can think of that's been public around nationwide is the Bloods and Crips beer made at a brewery. I'm not gonna say names. You could Google it. It's a blood beer, Crip beer.
Really?
Beer, yeah.
I never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with the brewery. It's really insensitive to people's culture on that aspect, but sensitive to people's going through things.
Yeah.
There's societies and cities that go through those tragedies.
Yeah.
They're affected by those people, not because they're bad people. It's just it's situations. It's just situations.
The environment that they live in.
Environment, yeah, a perfect example. Environment, and it's just insensitive to make the name out of that beer for people who don't live in that area.
Yeah,
and nowhere
absolutely.
near from that.
Yeah.
Or come from that background.
We don't come from the background, so that's why we want to talk about naming things. It's
Yeah.
a perfect segue about naming things for you.
No,
Not
that's
because
awesome.
It's interesting how people name things.
Yeah.
It has to mean something.
Yeah, for us, it's that Bright Eyes. It was like that one was like spur of the moment. The rest of them kind of have a background, but it's hard, right? Naming beers. So you think you have the greatest name for a beer, you go on Untappd and there's like 50 of them,
Right.
or there's like 2 of them. It's like, well, I don't want to name a beer that's already been named.
Right.
And so that one's actually Bright Eyes started off as Mr. Bright Eyes, and there wasn't a Mr. Bright Eyes, but then somehow it got dumbed down to just Bright Eyes, and then I went back on Untappd, I'm like, oh fuck, there's like 12 Bright Eyes. I'm like, oh whatever, this is the one beer. But the rest of our beers, I'm pretty sure that there isn't any other beers named them on Untapped.
That's also tough too, right? But I like we mentioned Barrett earlier, right? I know you're about to say something. I don't mean to cut you off, but Barrett has a story between all his beers. My favorite story for Barrett, and we were together, me and Jerry. I forgot the name of the beer. Maybe correct me. The one with the African label that dissolves away to nothing.
Market 11.
Market 11. And he made that beer. Now, he didn't name it Market 11 just to say Market 11, but mostly the story is traditionally you make beer to share with people. It doesn't matter who you share it with or the story behind it. It's all for the communal aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So instead of focusing on the label and focusing on the name of the beer and the label of the beer, put it in ice or when condensation comes from the beer, the label goes away. It's blank at the end of the day.
Oh, wow.
It's more important who you share it with versus what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the
Absolutely.
story of it. And that's
That's great.
very poetic.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's why it means important to me. And then, so when John, we had a conversation earlier about naming beers, naming means important. So when you name a beer, you have to be respectful.
Yeah.
And then you, I don't want to speak for you. If you want to share some of your
Chime
stories.
in.
Because, like, long story short, like, a local brewery, they named one of their beers, and I saw the name, and I was like, that's interesting, because, you know, it was a beer that was brewed, and they named it something in Spanish. I was like, well, I know these guys.
Yeah.
I was like, where did the name come from? And, like, it was kind of, the naming of it was kind of lazy, because, like, it was a Mexican lager, they named it in Spanish.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of a plain trope, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we can do better than that.
Yeah.
And then, like, the name of the beer was something that was, like, very specific to me and, like, has a history. And I was just like, when did they know that? So, like, I reached out to them and I messaged them and gave them, you know, a link to a video to where they could see the history behind it. And they didn't get it. And they thought that, you know, they had an employee who, you know, was of, you know, Hispanic. And you're like, well, he's the one who named it, and so it's okay.
No,
it's
that's
like,
okay.
No.
Yeah.
Just because you hired someone who is of that ethnicity or race, that doesn't give you a free pass.
No, absolutely.
You know, one person cannot speak for the entire culture.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I'm kind of upset and kind of like angered by it because, you know, you're minimizing something that a lot of people did way back in like, the 60s. And it progressed our culture as a whole. And for you to like just speak to me like that, I was just like,
And for them to not have a story behind it other than, well, he named it that, and he's Latino,
He's
so
a
it's
brown
okay.
boy.
Exactly right.
Like the other beers that they do have backstories to them. You know, they tell them like, this is why we named it this. This is what this, you know, what charity this is going to.
Yeah.
And then like one of the things they responded was, you know, he said that it was just something for Mexican Americans to be proud of. And I was like, I was kind of confused. I was like, hold up. You know, I'm Mexican American. I'm in the beer community, and I had to reach out to you to understand this because there's no direct correlation between the name of the beer and the Hispanic community. And I was like, it kind of hit me in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was kind of frustrated about it.
Oh yeah, no,
So-
I could absolutely see that. I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's one of our goals, like, right. So my whole sort of mission statement, right, if you want to call it that, for Odd Muse is that it basically it's inclusion, right? It's bridging the gap. It's so I'm Mexican, right, and so it's one of those things where, you know, there aren't very many, you know, Mexicans in the beer community, right, and so it's like so. Especially in Farmer's Branch, right?
No, not just Farmer's Branch.
I don't know anything
Not just
Farmer's
owners.
Branch.
Besides, like, we have a strong presence in the homebrew community.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we do. Like,
Recently,
I can speak, like, whenever I first started, like, 7 years ago, I went to the homebrew store, right? They're like, just so you know, making Coronas are really tough. I was like, I'm not going to brew a Corona beer. I'm going to make an IPA. And he was like, well, you going to put fruit in it? I was like, I'll put all the fruits in it. I had as many fruits as possible.
But that's all IPAs now
Se
has
llama
today.
mango, está bonito.
And like at the Labor of Love, I had michelada beer, right? Where the tomato juice was mixed in with the beer. And some of the brewers, they're like, you put tomato juice in your keg? It's like, tomatoes are fruit. Why would I not put it in my keg? I was like, it's delicious beer. Like, look, there's a line right there. People like it.
It's delicious.
Very, very interesting. But it's just, well, first of all, thank you for being part of the representation of us in the community. As well as you guys, as well as homebrewers too. I just watched more of us. Like, shout out again, League Draft. Not to make this, and keep talking about League Draft. The new head brewer is Mexican. You know? A very handsome young man.
Yeah, I met him the other day.
Very handsome young man. And he's single too.
Oh, shut up!
And he's single too. I don't know if he's single. Just FYI, comment below. She's single.
No, for me,
He's just, actually out. He said, everybody, I'm single.
it's really interesting that you bring up that point though about them naming that beer, like because part of what my goal is, right, is to sort of bridge the gap between craft beer and the Hispanic community. But the challenge is, right, is I don't want to do it by pandering to the Hispanic community,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So sort of what I try to do is kind of be open, right? So I'm not trying to pander to anybody and point out specific groups, but just kind of let people know that we're welcoming and open to everybody.
It shows, though.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, thank you.
It's not. It shows also.
So similar, perfect example. Barrett comes as a perfect example. Celestial's a perfect example. They make beers to their style, who they are.
Exactly.
But they're all inclusive to everything.
And they're genuine about it.
But it's
and
their
there's a
style.
story behind it.
Right. It's maybe they might be inclusive. Like Barrett's inclusive.
Yeah.
And Celestial just stars in space stuff. So that's if you like space stuff, that could be inclusive, right?
Not necessarily
but it's
that.
who they
I'm
are.
talking just mostly on who they are and like them as people. They're super.
But it's not
inclusive.
lying though. It's not saying like let's say Victor Santana makes a brewery and that's the name of the brewery, and I name everything about my family, but then out of nowhere I'm gonna start doing like Bruce Lee references. Like that don't make sense. It doesn't go with my story.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's
That's
like...
a horrible analogy. That was a horrible analogy.
For me, I kind of treat this place as like my house, right? So if anybody comes into my house, I treat them like I would treat anybody else. And so it's mad respect to anybody that comes in here, regardless of who they are, what culture they come from, what their beliefs are, right? If you're coming into my house, I'm going to be super welcoming to you. And so that's kind of how I feel about this place. And sometimes you get people in here that don't appreciate that, and it's whatever, it's all good. But to me, it makes me feel because I have a clean conscience at the end of the day, right? It's like
I think that really differentiates like between the breweries that last and then the breweries who are kind of like struggling. Because for me, and I'm not gonna name any brewery, but I can tell who's gonna be there for a moment or for a long time because they're all about their community. They involve their community. There's events all the time. They provide space for other people, just like you did with your artists. And I just think one issue that like we were discussing is just like using certain, our culture or just cultural appropriation for profit. You know what I'm saying? It's just like calling it something that was in reference to our civil rights movement is making profit, especially if you don't have a big like customer base and you're using that to uplift your company. And that's fine, you can do that because it's business, because I have a small business as well, but at the same time, be respectful and be knowledgeable of what you're using, because the community at the end of the day is really going to decide whether your business is going to be successful or whether it's going to be,
yeah, absolutely.
down the drain.
Yeah.
Like the part that frustrated me in the whole situation, going back to it, is like I went to him directly instead of just being the angry millennial, shut him down, close the beer, change the name, whatever.
In public.
Like I went to him directly. I gave him opportunity. I educated him like why this could be offensive.
Yeah.
And there's like, well, our chef named it. He said it's okay. So
Well-
like, it's kind of going back to like what Jerry said, where like my black friend said it's okay. So.
Well, that might not be in the video or not, but he's right. He's right. But no, so people who don't know who John is, one thing I always say, I want to say to your face, but I always say about you is, but no, it's someone who loves beer, respects the beer community, and anything he doesn't like, either be the beer or something you said, he may not have to know you, but he'll get in contact with you and directly talk to you person to person. Whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's like, hey, I've seen this, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Or, hey, by the way, just let you know this seems off. Like, whatever. Because he's done that. Like, I know him. I'm lucky enough to know him. But he's messaged me before about podcasts. Like, hey, you shouldn't have that on your show. And I'm like, oh, cool, you're right. Let me work on that. But he's done not just me, but he does it for everybody in the community because he cares about the community. So people who are listening and watching at the moment, for John's background, he cares about the craft beer community, especially the DFW community. So when he reaches out, it's not anything in malice. It's always like, hey, I just want to make it better. Let's make things better. Let's work together and do things together. And that's the thing that John's talking about. It's just, at the end of the day, is when you do something that's disrespectful to other people, regardless what it is. I honestly say sometimes I disrespect people, and I don't mean to do it. But if you talk to me about it and educate me about it, then I'm going to accept it. I'm not going to lie, because I don't like to lie, and I could be wrong. And I'm often, in this show, you guys watching, I'm often wrong. I am often wrong a lot. But I'm not I don't hold my values over anybody else. If I'm wrong, talk to me about it. And
Right.
he's the person that will talk to me about things. You know, he's done it before at Labor of Love. He's done it about other shows that I've done. He's talking to me about things I've said about other people in beers. He's like, what are you talking about right now? He's a very honest person. He's very direct, and you gotta respect someone like that.
I run my mouth too much. I can't lie.
You can't lie, but you got. But when someone talks, when someone in his caliber reaches out to you, you know it's something you. And preface, I'm saying, when someone like himself talks to you, you should listen, because he's someone who represents the beer community as a whole,
Yeah.
who has a pulse of it. So when he says like that's wrong what you're doing, you should listen. Now, whatever you do with it is up to you. But just listen to him. He's a man you should respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
And
awesome.
as far as like DFW Brewing, we have a lot to be proud of. You know, there's so many breweries that do give back to the communities, that do use their platform as a spotlight, you know, to educate or to, you know, like you're trying to do with your artists. You're trying to bring them up, and it's all about promoting and growing and all this together. It's about community. And so, like, you know, there's a lot to be proud of. And so whenever they said, you know, oh, it's just something to be proud of, like, there's nothing backing that, you know. You have all these bottle share groups, like when Gary does his bottle share, you know, at Craft and Growler, they gave back to the community. When City does her bottle shares, they give back to, you know, the children's shelter. You know, Angie with her,
Yeah.
with the clothing, no, not clothing drive, supply drive. You know, there's so much going on in this community where they do give back and they are a part of these communities. For you to just take and have no connection, that's where I was like, no, this does not sit well with me.
Yeah.
I have to speak out.
Huh?
Yeah. So we have to respect someone like John who does speak out. But he does it to everybody. Like if I do something or Jacob does something, lucky for us, he could call us and say, hey, what the fuck are you talking about right now? And do something. He's done it to me. Like recently, 2-3 weeks ago? You text me personally. He's like, hey, I don't think you should have that in there. I was like, oh, you're right, my bad. And then we just talk about other stuff. Like it just
But it's also good because you're doing it in respectful way instead of calling them out. Like, hey, this
On
happened,
social media
whatever.
or
Exactly.
something.
Where it's just like outrage and then people just like go crazy on it. You actually try to be respectful and try to hear them out. Like, hey,
Personally get a connection.
Exactly. That's different because I mean I wouldn't do it. I'm not that nice. So
well, she is a lawyer.
I am not a lawyer.
She is a lawyer.
Yes.
Going to school.
If you ever need a lawyer, bud.
She's if you need a lawyer, she's the one to
Couple
call.
years.
Give her 2 years. Give her 2 years. By the way, we need a stout. What is a stout? When are you gonna come out with like a heavy?
He's got one right there.
You want,
Excuse
Are you
me,
talking about
sir.
like a pastry stout? Whoa.
That's what he likes.
Jinx, you owe me beer.
Oh. Nah. So
You guys read my mind, though.
I'm not huge on brewing with adjuncts.
No, forget. Fuck that.
But-
Fuck it.
But I mean, not to say I won't do it. I mean, we do have a stout that's getting aged on cocoa nibs and coffee.
That's adjuncts.
It's
That's
adjuncts, but it's not chocolate cake.
No,
right?
but it's not
Like,
chocolate, but
not
it's
cake batter,
it's
right?
adjuncts there.
So I wouldn't call that a pastry
You wouldn't
stout.
just put a whole big 24 Krispy Kreme donuts in there.
Okay.
Stop fermentation.
Okay.
halfway. Don't let it fully attenuate. Like, yeah,
I
let's
just
just.
wonder how they clean all this stuff out. 'Cause if you're adding all these adjuncts in there, like on a homebrew level, that's a lot to clean out the mash tun.
Yeah.
So if you ever do that, let me know because I want to see how you clean the mash tun because that stuff's gonna stick to the
Can we
walls.
get a
and-
tour?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any plans of doing any sort of like I'm using actual pastries in beer. Like I said, we got one that's aging on cocoa nibs. Just put them in yesterday. Depending on how it tastes, I'll probably add coffee to it next week.
Coffee, yeah.
That sounds really good.
Yep. But yeah, so right now
You
that's
said
the
coffee, I'm
extent. So we got a pilot batch going that we're doing a milkshake IPA, and so we will be adding fruit to it. So whether or not it turns out, it will be whether or not we put it on draft or not. It's a really, really small batch. So if it turns out well, we might scale it up. But as of right now, there's not really any sort of like pastry beers being planned. So
That's fine. I'm just asking.
But-
Just a question.
maybe
Even
at
when-
some point.
Yeah, even with that, like we really enjoy the community that you have here, and it's a really relaxing space. You know, it's close to home for me. I don't have to drive all the way to Oak Cliff or like
Exactly.
you know to that area to get a beer, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And everybody loves you. Like I said, this is my first time here today, but I've been meaning to come in for a while. Like I said, following your social media posts. I've been
I've
following
been
you guys for a while.
expecting you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been following you guys for a long time, but just the love of the community that you got,
Thanks,
open.
man.
It's been phenomenal.
No, it's crazy. It
Wait,
was
drink.
Phenomenal.
Drink.
Phenomenal.
We need to go refill.
Never refill.
All right, we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come back and refill our glasses. I'm gonna get the stout. So we're kind of back, not back yet. We're not back yet. So FYI for people watching the second half of this video, a boy was not in frame, so ignore that. But he's still important.
This is the other half of
Very
Odd Muse.
important.
Hey, the other half of our news. Hey.
This is Charlie.
I'm Charles. Nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, not Charlie, bro.
It's Charlie.
It's Charlie.
Yeah,
he
it's
told me
Charlie.
Charlie. He literally told me Charlie when I was talking to him. He's like,
you
you
told
told
me
me
Charlie.
Charlie.
I have a bad habit of doing of introducing
Let me
myself
see
as
that,
both
let me
because
see.
like my family calls me Charlie, and then my friends call me Charlie. Bob sometimes will call me Chuck, which is sort of
I heard him
offensive.
call you Chuck.
He hates it.
I heard him call you Chuck earlier. Oh, he's popping this one?
So it goes both ways.
Now I know. Now you know.
Now I know.
Okay.
Oh no.
Hey, on the mic, on the mic.
Ruin the equipment.
What is this? This is a hazy.
10%.
Is this the hazy you make?
This is a hazy with beak in it.
Yeah.
Kavike.
Is vegan in there? How you put vegan in there?
Beak.
I'm just fucking around.
It's big.
The Vicks Vaporub. Hey, my Peru. It's my Peru. I love my friends for this, but let's talk about Strange Brew and their IPA, hazy IPA.
It's like room temp. Well, here's another one.
It's probably better, like room temp.
Yeah,
I like it
facts.
better 'cause when it was cold.
Seriously?
Yeah, when it was cold, I tasted that pepper too strong.
Is it on?
Yeah, son. I've been recording the whole time while we were talking about Latinx.
Pepper.
Idaho 7. Idaho 7 will bring out that like pepper.
The peppery.
Yeah, pepper taste to
I
it.
can taste pepper through this.
There's some lemon in there, and so it's Idaho 7. It's Mandarina Bavaria. Simcoe.
The
Simcoe.
citrus, the citrus
Simcoe.
might be tasting from the yeast you
good.
use though.
Maybe.
Because that orange rind.
Yeah, that pith.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what
man. I
taste.
get
I
that.
taste-
I get that.
I taste the
absolutely.
orange and pithy.
Which
Yeah.
Kavike yeast did you use?
Hornindal.
Hornindal, yeah. So Hornindal's
Hornindal
known
do
for
that.
that
Okay.
pith, the
Yeah.
orangey taste to it.
Yeah, Simcoe, Mandarina Bavaria, Amarillo, and Idaho 7. Those are the 4 hops I use in that.
What was the what's the ABV on it?
This is
14%.
it's 10%. Shit, this is a big girl.
10%. Did the
I'm like, what?
But you be in fucking sizes right now, bro? What's wrong with big people, bro?
Dude, big
What's
people need
up?
love too, bro.
I know I need love, but you don't want to talk about me like
We
that.
need love too.
Facts. We all need love. Everybody needs love.
This one's called a Dola Burst because I watch
Like
Wade's-
Dolomite?
A
Is
Dola.
that-
Dolomite.
Appropriation, bro. That's appropriation.
Wait.
No, I did not say that. I said a Dola Burst. I watch way too much fucking anime, Fire Force, so
I'm just
just
fucking
throwing
kidding.
that out there. Nobody watches that. You watch anime? No, okay.
I watch Fire Force.
Nobody's a loser here but me. Okay.
I watch anime all the time. Listen, I watch anime
You
all the
watch
time.
Fire Force?
Yeah, I watch it. I don't like it though.
Fire Force is great. This is a Dola Burst.
Roundabout. And I'm gonna say this and then shut up. Me coming out into beer, this is like 2017. I meet Jonathan at Three Nations in 2017, and meet Jonathan and his wife. And Jonathan was the first person that invited me to do a homebrew. And this is in July 2017. I say July 2017 is important because I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. He said, we're starting at 7 a.m. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I'll get over there around 9, so, you know, whatever. I'm like, not understanding. No, I need you there at 7. I get there. It's hot. It's Texas. It's July 4th.
Oh shit.
I have on my jeans.
dark denim?
I bring beers like Boulevard's Rye on Rye, like 14% beer. I'm like, well, okay, hey, let's do. I had no idea. I was like, you know what? So I always keep that in mind because Jonathan was very kind to me, but he could have just said, like, you're an idiot. I did not want you to come with all this stuff. So Jonathan has been a huge help in helping me really understand kind of what goes in beer and helping me really get that love for craft brewing.
Yeah.
It's one thing to go around and try different breweries.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you're actually the brewer and understand the process, it gives you a whole new respect for what goes into the brew.
Oh, yeah.
and just like a chef, as they're making their food, and many times, or when you talk about making your vegan food and all the different things, I'm like going, okay, wow, what a concept, and I just appreciate that so much. So I just appreciate, I had to just kind of call John out for that because I really, really appreciate that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely.
It was cool though, because we were talking earlier, at that time, there still weren't many people of color in the local community. I remember back, my brother and I went to, we've been in it since pretty much the start, I guess you'd say. We were at Deep Elm's first anniversary.
Yep.
We tried Lakewood's beer before they even had a spot open.
Yep.
And at that time, there was no one that lived anywhere near us. And, sometimes we go to the brewery, oh, your people like to drink, here's some tokens. They thought they were being, cute and funny. Part of it was I want to punch him in the face, but part of it's he's giving me free beer. I don't want to live up to the stereotype. That's my mom. So
I hate to be thanks.
Every time I'd see someone of color, Petty Cola's, Mike and Dreads, they've been, and Georgina, they were all there forever.
Shout out to Georgina. No one talks about her. I forget about her a lot. One of the few actual female brewers that was in Texas for a long time. Georgina. Now she's in Houston now, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so. But so every time I'd see someone, I was like, hey, familiar face, let's go, come on, let's get this started. And so even at Labor of Love, they're oh yeah, this guy's Mexican home brewer, let's go see him. They go to the line, and so this whole thing, what's it like? What did it take to go through? I was like, if you want to come out, I extended the invitation, what I did with Jerry. I was we started, early in the morning. It's a lot of work, but if you want to come, hit me up on Instagram. And we can make it happen because I want to teach them, what all it takes to go into there. Because I hate when people review beers, they don't know about the whole process. Oh yeah, this is definitely a thin beer. They didn't do this. And there's have you ever done this? What's your background on all this?
Kudos to you, man. It takes a lot to invite somebody in on your brew day.
Yeah.
Because that's you're going, and if you got somebody there that just wants to talk, you're like, man, I don't need you to talk right now.
I'm the worst brew partner of all
He
time.
was tired by
No, I was hungover.
You're super fucking
I was hungover. I forget what I did the night before, but I know I drank all night. And I got up and I got there with my camera equipment.
We started late because of you.
No,
Not because of you. We started late for you. We started late for you.
Not because of me. You asked me what time to show up. I'm like, this time.
Normally I like to start at 5 a.m.
I couldn't wake up.
5 a.m. I'm in. I'm striking in by 6.
Listen, I got drunk. I got fucked up. I got there. Adrian was kept feeding me water. He's like, are you in love? This, a fucking stick in water. Breathe.
I can't do it.
It's gonna be 7 hours.
Yeah,
With
fucking
cleaning.
Yeah,
breathe,
pretty
bro.
much.
Breathe. It was bad.
You get 1 hour to chill while the mash is going.
Yeah,
After that, that's it.
That's your brewer's time.
It definitely has been cool to see the scene grow from year one of Deep Ellum and Lakewood to where we're at now. Where I ran into y'all at Oak Cliff. I was like, hey, more people, all right, let's go. And then the Dallas Beer Squad, I'm like, yes, diversity in the DFW community. And it feels like in this last 2 to 3 years, it's just blown up. From a people of color standpoint.
Yeah. Fuck, man, you've been in it for a minute, dude. I haven't even realized how long you've been in it.
No,
I didn't get into craft beer until 2013.
I didn't get into craft beer until 2018, 2017 for myself.
Oh yeah, that's right. But you're dude. The crazy thing is, you're one of the biggest advocates in the craft beer community,
especially local DFW.
Besides the gentleman next to you.
I was gonna say that's the guy.
This is the dude right here.
No, but he's the reason. So Jerry's the reason why I moved from the studio to try more craft beer. Because he's phenomenal, and B, he was
phenomenal.
God damn it, drink. God damn it.
Drink whatever is in your glass. If you know what I mean.
If it's water, drink it.
Right. Sorry, guys. But count. I'm gonna have a count for it. Make sure you drink it.
25.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you drink it. The only reason I'm an advocate is two reasons why I'm an advocate. The first time I saw a homebrew day or brew day was at Dreads, and I went to Petty Cola's and saw a brew day.
Can you say his name?
Jared.
Jared.
Yeah. I thought you were making fun of me.
No. We shouted him out twice. I'm like,
we said Dreads 2 times, but
Mr.
I'm sure.
Jared
I don't know if he wants to be known as Dreads his whole life,
Mike. Mike Finley. It's phenomenal. But I didn't. God damn it. Sorry, guys. Drink again. Cheers. Sorry. So sorry. Don't worry about it. No, Mike Finley's great too. But when I met them for the first time, I saw the process. I thought it was difficult, but they're also so nice to me because I started drinking in 2017, and I didn't know anything about beer. I was a whiskey and a liquor drinker, and then I tried their beers, and they had a new beer that day, and they were like, "Here's our new beer. Sit down, I'll sit you down." And I was like, "This beer is shit," and then they get mad at me. They were like, "Tell me why. Tell me why. What do you know about this beer? What do you know about beer? Oh, you don't know anything about beer? Well, come hang out with us. Let's teach you about beer, so you can understand what you like and don't like."
Oh yeah, no,
Tell
absolutely.
me
Your
more.
product expands.
Yeah. So besides being defensive, like, because that was a very unacceptable, like, kind of a statement to people in their face.
My favorite thing that I'm sorry, I don't mean
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt you. Like, my favorite thing about like your podcast, like the one thing that I heard on your podcast, I was like, that fucking makes so much fucking sense. Is when somebody says, "I don't like beer," it's like you're not drinking the right beer. You got to come out and try these different beers. It's just not Bud Light. It's just not Miller Light. Like, that's what most people drink. Or Coors Light. You're like, "Oh no, I don't like beer. It tastes like pee." Like,
But
how do you know what? First
I don't
off,
know, wait,
how do
first
you know
of all, I was like,
what pee tastes like? And second off,
For people
like, that's not
watching,
beer.
everybody looked at him and was like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
It's for me. It's like I was told once with music, right? Like, so like one is I like it and I know it's good. Two is I like it and I know it's bad. And the third is I don't like it and I know it's bad, right? So it's like it's the same thing with beer, right? It's like if I like it and I know it's bad, that's okay, whatever. Or if I don't like it, but I know it's good. Like, that's the most important one for me,
That's
right?
it's a good description.
It's
yeah.
like I'm not in. If somebody comes in here and they're like, "I don't really like IPAs," and then they drink our IPA and they give it a 2 on Untapped, right? And it's like, well, it's because they don't like IPAs,
Yeah.
right? It's like you got to
Yeah.
understand, like, there's a thing, right? It's like I don't like IPAs. I don't like it, but I know it's good because it's supposed to be good or whatever, right? Or just like
the style, to style.
Yeah, absolutely.
It hits all the marks I
It's
don't like in
yeah,
IPAs.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like it's if you don't like something, it's perception, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
either you don't like it, but it's why don't you like it? Is it because you don't like bitter beers? Or is it because you like bitter beers and you specifically don't like this bitter beer, right?
Facts.
There's a
Right.
complete difference between the two.
Well, I want to say shout out to Jacob because he was one of the first. Jacob, John, and Jerry was one of the first people. Whoever listened to my podcast. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Also, besides that, is that you guys gave me feedback because in the beginning, thanks to Dreads and the Petty Coach crew who taught me more about beer, and then Bitter Sisters, then Manhattan Project. They all say like this is the reason why you like beer, don't like beer, and just descriptors to it. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, do you know what beer you're drinking? Okay, I don't like IPAs, but if I drink an IPA, I personally don't like it, but I could taste that it's like you said earlier.
Right.
It's to style and it's correct.
Yeah.
That's a good beer, but I don't have to like it even if it's a good beer.
Absolutely.
It's not my. It's not for me.
Recognize what it tastes like, what it's supposed. If it
Recognize-
tastes like what it's supposed to taste like,
Exactly.
then-
It hits. It's exactly what they said it was supposed to taste like.
yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Or it's the right style.
Just a little piece of advice: keep trying IPAs. Because like I used to not like pilsners. Like, man, those beers have no flavor. They're there's nothing to them. I don't like them. And now that's all I want to brew. And that's all I want to drink is a pilsner.
All I want is Pilsners too.
100%, dude.
So
100%.
keep trying different
That's
things
a-
because your
like,
taste
I'm
buds
on-
are gonna change over time. So
Yeah, I'm on the spectrum with you. Like, I go like my beers are like with the season. Like, if it's
Yeah.
hot and fucking super shitty and humid outside, I want to drink something nice, crisp, and cold.
Right.
See, yeah, for
Lawnmower
me,
beer, like
it goes even
dude.
more for
Not
me,
a
right?
Kolsch.
It's like for me, it's like even just the time of day. Like I'll drink a stout in the middle of summer
and I do
because it's like
I'll do that, but if
it's like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm just
yeah.
watching a movie. Like
Already.
I'm drinking a stout. Like it's
maybe I don't know.
I
For
drink
me, it
stouts all
has to
day.
be cold.
I drink
outside.
stouts all day, every day.
Cold.
But Victor's Chocolate's coming back too. Fucking phenomenal coach.
Light up, so I gotta bring that
I
peach
mean,
up stuff.
Yeah, peach up.
Not only
But,
Victor's
Chest right back.
Chocolates, the fact that it not only gave you a just really refreshing beer, but again, it was a wonderful cultural lesson.
Yeah.
Just because of
don't wear-
his video edit.
Yeah. Yes.
Of his
yes.
video edit of just selling those damn sandals
Yes.
and he's throwing somebody's hand.
Yeah,
I'm like, well,
yeah.
you know what? That is
So Victor's
funny.
chocolate
We
was like the
have to
first
get
like
Victor's
couple
Victor's chocolate.
Victor's
Oh
chocolate.
We made
shit!
air quality.
I think you said chocolate at first.
No,
There's
no,
chocolate.
chocolate.
Okay, chocolate. Okay, got it.
Victor
So I
doesn't
made-
wear
Yeah,
chocolate.
he doesn't wear chocolates. I made a Kolsch with mango in it, and I named it Victor's Chocolates because he never wears chocolate.
they have a
Never
picture of
seen.
me. They called me slipping one day, and I
Call him
put
slimming
it.
with some chocolate, dude.
But he wears Timberlands during the summer.
He wears
So I'm like,
Tim's during the summer.
That's embarrassing.
So
I wear
funny.
Tim's all day. Every day.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved every bit of it.
It was the best. It was the best. I love that beer. Then we made peach ups.
Oh shit! Nice. It's got the Puerto Rican flag on it too. Holy
I love it.
shit! Yeah, that's badass. Now, did you get a pair made for him that looked just like that?
Nah, I should have. I am eventually, dog.
Don't worry, I'll buy my own flip flops with that.
I'm gonna catch you, dude. I'm gonna catch you one time.
No, listen. So people who know this, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, because I'm often wrong.
And he ain't from Texas. So
And I'm often wrong.
Yeah, but-
Men don't wear
We gotta
flip
point that
flops.
out.
They don't wear
He's
flip
about to
flops.
explain.
You ain't for Texas.
Men don't wear flip flops.
I rode a
That's why I
motorcycle
named
to
it Victor
college and
Sean.
flip flops every day of the week.
We're naming it Victor Chanclas now.
Yeah, men don't wear flip. My grandfather told me.
You wear
this.
shorts?
No, not outside.
Not in
Only
public.
in the shower, right?
No, only when I'm playing if I'm playing basketball. That's it. Only if I'm playing basketball in the
I'm
house.
only wearing shorts when I'm in the bathtub or the pool.
Well, in the pool, definitely wear shorts. I don't wear beach clothes. Like what is that? Like basketball shorts.
We're in Texas.
Like basketball shorts and underwear. This is what I wear in the pool. Like
Basketball shorts?
in underwear.
Jackass with socks.
That's what it is. That's a hood. That's a hood
You wear
version
your
right there. Some
sneakers to the
basketball
pool
shorts.
while you're wearing your basketball shorts?
No, I do. I take them off though before I get in the water.
Your shoes?
Yeah, my sneakers.
Oh, but you don't wear chanclas to the pool.
Even in
weird.
the beach, I wear Timbs in the summertime. Like I was at a homebrew competition in Brew House.
All black,
I was
dude.
wearing
The
all
whole
black
time he
and
was fucking
Timbs.
complaining though. He's like, it's hot. I'm like, yo, dog, look what you're wearing.
We're all wearing white.
It's like, it's fucking hot out here. Like, I'm sweating.
Because it's like 90 degrees out.
I cropped the
Maybe.
shirt and everything, and
Right.
he's wearing all black. I'm just like, dude, you're gonna
You got
die.
to, man. You got to. Listen, I don't know. Listen, I have my own problems in life. My parents, like my male figures in my life, may have raised me wrong, and I might accept that. But it's who I am.
Different.
It's who I am.
You have
He
to
just shouldn't like.
I don't like. I take blame for myself because I accept it. I do. I don't wear shorts outside the house. I don't wear flip flops at the house. No, men don't do that. That's how I was raised.
Men in New York may not do that.
No.
Yeah, dude, I'm going out, dude. I'm going out in a fucking quarter top. It's hot here, dude. My guts hanging out. Like, it's hot as
It's
fuck.
even a representation thing, I guess. It's like, okay, that's just not what men do.
Yeah.
But I think also going back to like reviewing beers, like we all have distinct like flavors that we like, and so
Like
whenever
peaches.
Peaches.
his favorite.
Yeah, right there, dude.
But whenever we
I'm gonna
review a
make
beer
Victor's Chocolates
at a
peach.
brewery, like I think it's fair to like review it properly because it really
Facts.
does hurt like
Facts.
a business sometimes. You know, when people are just being
No, you're,
assholes.
but when it comes to food and anything, like listen, at the end of the day, if it's made well, but you don't enjoy that style,
Yeah?
you
should
just
be
say that.
honest.
You be honest. Like
Yeah.
listen, it's what it's supposed to be, but I still don't enjoy this style.
Yeah, maybe just don't rate the beer.
That's what.
yeah,
That's another
thank
thing.
you.
That's another thing. That's another thing.
We get a round of applause for that.
Yeah.
Because
But I mean, it's not like they're not intentional. I mean, it's just they literally don't like that beer, and it's. I mean, to each their own.
But I
you
just
know?
hate it whenever they do that and then they don't like it and then they go rate it and put like a low rating on it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you didn't like it.
So when this podcast is over,
I think to like collect everything what
Check
we're
on my money,
saying
thank
is
you.
like it really depends on the intent of the person. So whether it
Facts.
comes with naming, whether it comes with like reviews, it's just like you really have to educate yourself on what you're
Facts.
going to say before you say it
Facts.
or before you name something because it really affects the community. And like I said earlier, like your community really does decide whether your business is gonna grow or not grow.
no, it's true. And anybody who's listening to this podcast, listen, I say a lot of foolish things, and I'm most of the time I'm just joking. But if honestly, like John has done it before, and Jerry has done it before too, and Jacob in the past as well. If I say something that it hurts you, call me, text me. Like
Yeah.
I'm easy to reach. But anybody else in our community, will be a brewer or be a sales rep or another podcast or a blog, someone says something that you disagree with, reach out. Personally reach out to these people. It's easy to contact these people, especially our local brewer, because I know for a fact our local brewers, 90% of the time, love our community and have our community best interest. So if they do something that's disrespectful or they unwillingly do something or unknowingly do something that hurts
Yeah.
people's feelings, just call them.
And
Talk to them.
that's the beautiful thing about the DFW area.
Facts.
Like anybody that you call out or say like, hey yo, I'm sorry, or like you say something that's like you tell them like, hey, that's kind of insensitive. They're normally pretty cool about it.
Yeah.
You reach out to them, they're normally cool. Now there's some cases like John's where it's just like I don't give a fuck.
There was
what you
no
say.
feedback.
Yeah,
you
or
know?
no feedback. Like it's just like, oh no, I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
We're still gonna do what we do, and that's cool. You can do what you do, but
You won't have my support.
You're not gonna get my
Exactly.
business.
Facts. So at the end of the day, number one, come to ODD Muse, get their beers. They're phenomenal. Phenomenal. Listen, people who's catching up.
Salud.
That's 5 drinks for me.
Cheers.
That's 5 drinks for me. I'm gonna chug to the end. That's 5 for me. 5 drinks for myself. I still owe. So come to our Muse. It's a phenomenal. God, don't drink. Don't drink.
Some more beer. Stop
Stop.
saying that.
Did
Stop.
you say great?
Great
or
place.
something?
Great place.
The source. We're gonna learn
Yes.
some new words for
Sorry,
phenomenal.
Great place.
Synonyms.
Yes, I need more synonyms. It's a great place. I want to come back here more. I will come back here more and drink more
Yeah,
beers.
for sure.
It's close to you too.
No, it's very close to me. It's very close to us.
Yeah.
So I will be back here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's not close to this gentleman.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let us come back here and
man.
hang
We
back
appreciate
here.
it,
I
man.
really,
Yeah,
really
man.
appreciate it.
Everybody,
Thank you.
come on back.
No, we will be back and come with us. Come drinking more. So we'll be doing more beer Saturdays. So that vlog episode will be out on Monday. Beer Saturdays. We're gonna take some pictures for the vlog episode. And drunk, chug some more beers. Chug some more
We
beers.
We're gonna
are.
drunk some more beers.
Sorry, that we are.
Do you
Follow
prefer Bobby or Bob? Bobby.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Can I call you
you
Bob?
You can call me Bob if you want.
Bring your own
Charles
Bob.
calls me
Bring your
Bob.
Bob.
You're a
Bring your
Bob.
Bob.
Follow Strange Brews on Instagram, Facebook. Oh no, you don't have a
We
Facebook.
don't have Facebook. Just
No,
Instagram.
Instagram.
IG, baby.
And then sorry, forgetting the
Rellenas.
yes,
Rellenas.
yes, vegan. You have a Facebook or Twitter?
Instagram.
Just Instagram. Okay. You have an event the 9th,
Yeah, February.
February 9th. We'll be making a vlog episode for that, so we'll be there. Follow
Dallas chick.
the
Dallas
Dallas
chick.
longest beer name of
No,
all
the
time.
Dallas chick. That's
The
it. I changed it, guys. I changed it.
The longest beer name of all time. Follow her. It's right here in front of us. Follow her on Instagram. John, Second Tap. Also follow him.
Secondhand beers.
Second hand? I thought it was Second Tap. No,
No,
Second Tap is different.
Secondhand cerveceria? no?
Yeah, secondhand. But
We don't
the
wanna- we
Instagram
don't wanna
and
tap our
Facebook
second
is
time.
secondhand beers because
Okay. all right.
cerveceria is kind of
It's too big. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
too big to
too
spell.
much.
So
Too
it's
much
actually
for
with the number 2. So 2 ND
Secondhand, yeah.
hand beers. Facebook, Instagram. If you want to come
I said it
brew
wrong
with
earlier
me,
too. Sorry.
it's all good. If you want to come brew, I mean, I'm in the garage. It's not glamorous. You're gonna be in there sweating.
Don't bring.
Trust me, it's
has
dogs
it's a
drinking
really
beer.
good fucking. It's a good
bomb
setup.
ass-
It's a good setup.
It's a bomb
Yes.
ass
Listen,
rock.
I don't. This is the reason I record drinking beer and not making beer because it's a process and I hate that shit. So thank you for making a phenomenal beer. Don't drink. Don't drink. Don't drink. Don't drink. We've been drinking too much already. But I can't wait for the
You've been
more.
drinking too much already.
Yes, I've been drinking since 11. I can't wait for I can't wait for the homebrew competition to start up again. Looking forward to that.
Collabs in the future. Secondhand.
Collabs in the future.
and Strange brew.
Oh, I
Yes.
can't look for that. I can't look forward to that.
And
I
NTX
can't wait for
beer.
that. Can't wait for that. I should say.
I'm just gonna take it on and just watch.
Follow Jerry NTX Beer. Also follow his podcast. Phenomenal stuff. Don't drink. Don't drink. A great podcast. Great podcast.
It really is.
It's
Tony.
it's Modern Brews and Beats.
Yes.
So Modern
Yes.
Brews and Beats is on
Nice.
Spotify,
Listen to that.
iTunes.
Awesome.
Yes,
It's fantastic.
please.
So
It's
it's
really
all
good.
fun. It's about 65% music, 35% beer.
Yeah, we gotta.
That's
Is
okay.
there-
That's all right.
We need to get Tony out here.
Is there a
more
public
often.
playlist?
Yeah. I
Bring
like
Tony
that.
out.
You know, it's not a public playlist, but it's a podcast right now.
Okay.
But we do have separate playlists.
Oh,
We will be
gotcha.
creating a
Yo,
Modern Brews and
okay.
Beats
I need
playlist.
Tony to
Spotify,
give me a
so-
screwed up
There you go.
Yeah,
playlist
it's on Spotify.
because I love screwed and chopped music.
I know.
Hey, Tony
First
had a
time
whole
in March
episode
fifth.
about that.
This
Yeah, so I need a
So-
screwed
March
up
5th,
playlist.
DJ Screw Houston.
Yeah, we
So
have.
we have
Alright,
the company we use is since we have to have licensing and all that good stuff, right? So the company we use, we can import a Spotify playlist.
Okay.
And they take like a 2 or 3 hour Spotify playlist and they turn it into a 14-hour playlist.
Nice.
And
So, we have
if you
things
have
coming
one,
we
we
do.
could
Yeah.
We have things coming
theoretically.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yes. Yes. I can't wait for
Cheers
that.
for
Yes.
I got a new beer name for this.
Yeah.
Screwed and hot.
Screw it in hot.
Screwed and hot.
Screwed in hot.
Yeah.
All right.
Instead it's chopped and screwed.
Yes.
By the way,
And then put, like, some
we're gonna do
music.
a Denton County podcast with. We're gonna do Tony loves Denton County. And
Oh,
Mike's sitting out there.
badass.
That's his partner. We're gonna
Wait,
do a
wait.
vlogging episode. Yeah, you're gonna be
When's
part of
that?
it.
Jerry's like, wait, what?
He loves what?
He loves drinking in Denton County.
Oh, Denton County Brewing.
Yeah.
Yes,
no,
okay.
we're not doing Denton County Brewing. We're gonna be in Denton County. Like we're gonna
When
be
is
there
this
Just
drinking.
being in Denton.
Oh,
born in
badass.
Denton.
When?
Whenever when he doesn't have the 50 kids he has.
Oh
But
god damn it! All right.
It's okay though. I mean, he has a
I
lot
got
of
you.
kids. I have a lot of animals, so it's it's okay.
I got a lot of free time.
It will be happening. So all of us together. All of us together. All of us together doing it? Yeah.
But
Let's do it.
And
You got
of
it.
course, through all of this, make sure you're following Dallas Beer
No.
Talk, which you should be following Dallas Beer
Yes,
Talk.
that was
If
your
you're
time.
even
And man,
doing the
Victor,
show,
right here.
you know, so.
But thank you guys for listening. Thank you
Yeah,
guys for
absolutely.
watching. We'll be out and about in more places. We do another podcast here,
Oh, yeah.
particularly.
Yes.
Definitely supporting any event you have here. We will be
absolutely.
here. 100%. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Absolutely. 100%.
Don't drink every time I say phenomenal. Please
Yeah,
don't
no,
do
we're
it.
doing that. That's a game now. That's a game.
Peace.
If you
And I'm
just-
sorry. Wait. I'm sorry, Prince.
If
I
you-
forgot you. I forgot you at another 3, Prince. I'm so sorry.
you messed
I'm
up,
so
dude.
sorry.
How dare you?
Just make sure you do a
Podcast
Lyft or
canceled.
Uber.